All right, guys, I have a good feeling about this store.
Jaiden Animations. Jaiden put out this wonderful video a few days ago. My experience living in Los Angeles. And as soon as I saw the title, I was like, I am 100% going to watch this for the channel because I would love to yap alongside Jaiden about all of the nice and awful things about this nice and awful city, okay? I have been in LA for about 5 years now, and I am this close to getting out of here. So if Jaiden's opinion is anything like mine, this is gonna be fun. Also, I'm still sick from Paris. And if you're wondering why I'm rocking this look, it's because I was in Paris, and Lola wanted me to rock this look in Paris. So now I'm here.
And now, back to the show.
9 years ago, James and I talked about what it was like living in our home state, Arizona. I honestly don't remember most of what we said in that video. I tried to rewatch it as a refresher and maybe a little trip down memory lane, but turns out after 5 seconds I'd rather be guillotined. No, eyes on me. You clicked on this video, you're staying on this video. No funny ideas, all right? The other day I was in a store trying to buy a plain black shirt that was locked up behind those stupid box lockers. So I had to ring an employee.
Is the shirt?
For a single shirt. A few minutes later, someone came by. All right, what can I... Oh my gosh. Are you Jaiden Animations?
No!
Yeah. No way. I love your videos. Can I get a photo? Yeah.
Yeah, can I get a free shirt?
Thanks so much. I didn't expect to see you here. Are you visiting? Oh, no, I live here.
I live here.
You're not in Arizona anymore? And
What?
that's when it dawned on me.
What?
There is a giant portion of my audience who will not get updated on some parts of my life if I don't explicitly say it in one of my animations.
That's good, honestly. Listen, I used to try to be very personal with my audience back in the day, but over the years, I'm like, you know what? Why not have a personal life and then my YouTube videos and have that not be the same thing? So if you thought I still lived in Canada, cool. I'm not like, why didn't you know I was out here? No, that's great. Let's just watch the videos, you know? You don't need to know what state or country I'm in.
Also, the guy left without unlocking the box, so I had to wait another 5 minutes for him to come back and get the shirt. So yeah, to anyone who didn't get the memo, I've been in California for the past 6.5 years, specifically Los Angeles. I honestly can't believe it's been that long already, because that means for the past 6.5 years,
I think
I've been doing nothing but complaining about it the entire time. I believe in the compliment sandwich system, though. Not everything about moving to California has been bad. For example,
let's go.
The weather is great.
Yes.
It's always sunny, which, you know, Arizona is too. But like, in a bad way.
Different kind of hot.
California doesn't hit the casual 118 everything outside melts and dies degrees like back
And then scorpions are crawling on your face as well in Arizona. And hey, I want to also say this really quick. I would say LA, talk about LA here. Because California as a whole, California's cool. I like California. I would go as far as to say I love California. Just not LA, okay? But the one thing that everyone will unanimously say is good about California is the weather. Of course. It's literally like always sunny and typically like not too hot. It's like always good weather. Now, there's not a lot of trees, so the air isn't amazing, but you know, the temperature's cool and that's what matters.
It's vacation weather all the time. I like that part.
Yeah.
The drivers here are
Yup.
Arizona isn't all sunshine and rainbows in the driving department either. When I was learning to drive as a teenager, my mom told me to never honk at people no matter what because there's a chance they'll just shoot me. But because of the sheer volume of people on California roads all the time, it is a completely different beast. And every single one of them is driving to go kick babies because they hate their fellow man. Compassion does not exist on the California freeway. And by that, I mean blinkers. You know, the very helpful and necessary communication.
Lots of crazy drivers out here, that's for real.
You kindly like to move into the lane. It's a sign of weakness here. If you even think about turning your blinker on, every single car in your vicinity will speed up and refuse to let you merge.
It's like, I'm not putting up with this. Wait, I can't do that.
Of a different car being in front of them. How can they get to their destination faster if a car that was in front of them in a different lane suddenly shifts to the side 12 feet?
Dude, I would just, honestly, I don't like, I never stay in the far left lanes out here because there's always gonna be some psychopath who don't care about nothing and is just trying to zoom through everyone. I always stay in like the middle to right. Personally, this may be a crazy concept to a lot of people, especially people in LA. I personally like going the speed limit. I know, it's crazy. I personally think going the speed limit is not too awful of an experience. So I like to be in the lane where I can kind of do that, which is not the left lane.
People will go out of their way to merge into the lane just to speed past you and spit on your windshield. When I turn my blinker on, which I still do because I refuse to let this barbaric driving culture corrupt me, a car will speed up and then merge in front of me. If you need to be in my lane,
the ego's on the road.
To be in yours. We literally have to stay at our same speeds and shift. It's simple. There's no point in you blocking my merge just to merge into my lane anyway. Oh my god.
Word, absolutely.
So much. They
have to flex on you, Jaiden.
If I had no money and got $1 every single time someone took advantage of my blinker, I'd have enough money to move out of this godforsaken state. One time I turned my
Jaiden, that is the most cappiest cap thing you have ever said, because living in LA is ridiculously expensive. If you can afford to live in LA, you can afford to live somewhere else. That should be your whole other complaint, is how expensive this place is, even though Jaiden's a multimillionaire and is not really in a position to complain about how much everything costs. But if you can afford to live in LA, you can afford to move out of LA.
One time I turned my blinker on, checked my blind spot, and in the amount of time
the Lambo flew by
to look back at the road and start merging, a car way behind me had sped up so fast that my car's auto detection had to cut my merge off so I wouldn't hit them.
Good. Safety.
And then that car honked at me! I will kill
That sounds like LA.
both.
That sounds like LA.
The drivers suck, but at least I'm only going a few miles.
Yup.
Not only am I forced to drive alongside these bozos, I'm forced to drive alongside them for way longer than I should need to.
Is this too many people?
Traffic is so genuinely bad. I daydream of becoming a better sprinter to arrive at places quicker because it is genuinely not far from the realm of realism. Either that or get one of those monster snowplow attachments.
Oh,
I mean,
that would
seriously.
be better,
10 miles? I should not be in the car longer than 20 minutes. Everyone here loves driving 30 over the speed limit anyway. I don't even know what the holdup is. Also, a little tip. If you wanted to find
that's another huge issue. Way too many people over here. And I know that as a person who moved here from somewhere else, I'm not in a position to complain about there being too many people here because I am part of the problem. But at least I contribute to society with silly YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, there's way too many people here and it's the worst. And I genuinely don't want to be in LA much longer. I really don't. So before anyone's like, if you don't like LA so much, why don't you just leave? I will. Watch me. Okay, I will.
Also, a little tip. If you wanted to find a place to park when you get to your destination,
good luck.
You shouldn't even be driving in the first place. Parking doesn't exist here. It's a myth and a lie. 95% of all locations have 0 parking lots. There's never street parking, and if you happen to be a lucky enough soul to find a spot, you can't slow down to parallel park into it because people are either gonna yell at you for clogging the lane or ram into your bumper. It's just an evil trick. So your only choice is to find a parking garage that costs like $20. One time, my friends and I drove to a One Piece live symphony at the Dolby Theater and decided to park in its parking garage.
Okay.
Oh, what an obvious mistake. Do you want to know how long it took us to get out of that garage after the show when everyone was leaving?
1 hour and 45 minutes.
2.5 hours! We parked in the designated parking garage for a show and paid 2.5 hours of our life on
at that point, Ubering is better. At that point, Ubering is better. If you are waiting 2.5 hours to leave the parking garage, I mean, at that point, you're gonna spend more money on the parking because you're there longer. Yeah, it is a crazy world where sometimes living here, Ubering is cheaper than driving yourself, which is an insane concept. But that's how much of a pain parking is out here because there's too many people.
So what if you don't have a car? Then you don't have to deal with any of this, right? Well, you can't walk anywhere.
Yep.
What do you think this is? Any other country? You can get a bike or a motorcycle, but again, with the quality of drivers around, you might as well play Russian roulette every time the wheels touch asphalt.
Yeah, no, I could
Maybe
never.
With the right setup and some expendable funds, you could just get around with rideshare apps.
Yep.
But man, getting an
Still
Uber is so expensive out here. It might as well be considered a luxury in itself. If you're taking
Depends
an
on the
Uber
time and place.
either to or from the LAX airport,
yeah.
I guarantee it'll
$100.
cost at least $100.
Are you okay? We're the same person. Me and Jaiden are the same person. This was literally yesterday. Me and Lola just got back from Paris yesterday. Obviously, traveling to Paris, super expensive. Everything was super expensive. When we got back for the first time in my life, we actually got a ride from the airport. Lola's brother picked us up and we didn't have to get an Uber. And I was saying this to them yesterday. If we had to Uber ourselves home from the airport, it would have been $100. So honestly, everyone in the comments, shout out to Lola's brother, okay? Shout out to Lola's brother because he helped us. But yes, everything Jaiden's saying is completely true. If you are not Ubering during a crazy time from a crazy place, it costs closer to a reasonable amount of money. But yes, Ubering home from the airport will cost way more and it's ridiculous. We truly live in a society.
At least $100. And the drivers don't get like any of that, by the way. Once I had a driver complain to me about the ride rates the whole trip, which was not asked for to begin with.
Yeah, that makes you uncomfortable.
Client once trying to go to LAX and they were being charged $100, like I said.
Yep.
But the driver was only going to get $30.
$30?
So he offered to charge $80
$30?
cash for them to do it outside the app as a win-win.
Oh, I've heard
Don't
that.
ever take this type of offer, kids. That was incredibly dangerous. But that's just where the landscape of Uber is.
I've done that
Also,
once before
fun
too.
little
Yeah, it's
tip,
crazy.
Never tell any drivers the place you're going to or from is your actual home. This is for everywhere, not just
Valid.
California. Sure, if they ask, it's normally small talk, but when it's not, you're in danger. Yikes.
True.
Now that guy won't leave your driveway. And the police say they can't do
Oh my
anything because he
gosh.
hasn't actually committed a crime yet. Just
Oh
lie
my
and say it's a
gosh.
friend's place or something.
Okay, this just got real. Yes, Jaiden as a young woman, this is a very important thing. I am a grown man. I can defend myself for the most part. I am in less danger from the average person in the world, and that is just a privilege that I have, which now I'm sounding super LA and preachy. But no, yes, this is important. This is a very good lesson. This applies, I'd say, more to women, but even as a guy, like, be careful, okay? There's some crazy people out there. Trust me, I know, especially because I live in LA. And that's something I'm hoping that Jaiden gets to, because my whole thing about LA is some of the worst people I've ever met in my entire life. Actually, a good chunk of the worst people I've ever met in my entire life were people in LA. So, I don't know if Jaiden's gonna get to that. If she doesn't, I will. But yes, be careful, because you don't know a person's intent. This is a stranger. Your Uber driver is a stranger, and treat them as a stranger. Do not share private information with them.
And lying to strangers is fun. That was a free survival hint from your friendly neighborhood YouTuber. Put that one in the back of your pockets.
Yay.
Speaking of LAX, because I brought it up earlier, that place is actual hell on earth. If
Yeah, I don't
someone
like
gets sent there after that, I would consider it a
Worse.
viable punishment for being a bad person. But innocent people are forced to be subjected to it
It's
every single
terrible.
day. And it's inhumane.
'Cause too many people, that's why, 'cause too many people.
Every single ass with a plane ticket in the entire city and beyond enter through the same stupid entrance.
I was
forced
there
to drive
literally
through
yesterday.
The same loop, bumper to bumper, until they get to their specific gate. No
It's
branching
brutal.
paths, no attempts to categorize the types of
Brutal.
arrivals. Just a single slaughterhouse line like cattle. But in normal slaughterhouse lines, the cattle don't hate each other. I was talking about bad merging before. It is legitimately survival of the fittest
Yeah,
in the
it's
LAX.
dangerous.
horseshoe.
I don't wanna drive at
Absolutely
LAX.
No one will let you merge lanes ever unless you threaten to fist fight them right there on the concrete. One time I sat
Don't
with
do
my
that.
blinker on in traffic that was not moving for 15 minutes straight, and a dude still refused to let me start merging once cars started inching forward. I had to
Yeah,
sit
dude.
there making direct eye contact with him.
This is something they tell you in LA when it comes to driving. You are safer if you drive aggressively. That is what they say in LA, which is crazy. What kind of backwards world are we living in where being more aggressive is safer, you know?
What is this world? What have they done to us? What did they do to us?
But that's where welcome to Los Angeles, where the only way to keep yourself safe is by being dangerous to others. It's horrible here. I hate it. Which is why when I lived in Canada, I drove all the time, but I still only am driving with my learner's permit right now. I let Lola do most of the driving because she has lived in California for most of her life. And so she's used to this craziness. But dude, I'm too empathetic to drive in LA. I'm too empathetic for the driving here. Sorry, I can't drive in LA. I'm an empath.
They're making direct eye contact with him until he was uncomfortable enough to let me get in front of him. It is personal. I am not the same person when I'm in the LAX horseshoe.
What did they do to us?
The
Some
horseshoe,
dudes in
exactly.
the 1960s decided they wanted everyone that ever planned to visit LA to suffer instantly when they got here.
Okay.
And they simply got away with it. I've
Yep.
spent so much time talking about traffic and the airport.
What about the people?
I haven't even talked about living in LA yet. Well, that part sucks too.
Yeah.
Everything is so absurdly expensive here.
Yup.
It's almost comedic. Almost. Maybe raise the prices of food like $10 more and I'll start.
Okay. You want to see this? Do you guys want to see this? I don't know if she's going to mention Erewhon. I don't know if she's about to mention the grocery store called Erewhon, because that is literally like the stereotype gold standard of overpriced LA grocery stores. And me and Lola went there this morning because we just got back from Paris and we wanted to treat ourselves. It's like, okay, let's get some sushi and fruit from Erewhon. Let me show you what we got this morning. Okay, here we go. This is a, standard container of fruit. We got some mango right there. We got some strawberries and we got some kiwi, okay? You can eat this in about 1 or 2 sittings. This is just fruit, this is part of your meal. You wanna know how much this cost? $20.52! Ah! Isn't that ridiculous? That's insane. I should quit my job. I would make more money cutting fruit and selling it to people outside of Erewhon. I only got it because we just got back from the most stressful, longest travel day of our entire lives. I was like, let's treat ourselves. Paying $20 for 1 to 2 servings of chopped up fruit is not right, people. It's not right. But that's what it's like in LA. You are starting to see why this is a terrible place. And she hasn't even mentioned the people. Is she gonna mention the people? Because I'll get there. If she doesn't do it, I will.
I haven't even had food out here that's blown my mind. Sure, it's not bad, but when eating out can get this expensive,
Yeah.
I expect something more to write home about. There are some really fancy restaurants around, but I shouldn't have to spend even more money to eat a meal that makes me go,
True.
wow, I will remember this.
True.
It's become a common pastime for some people to pull up Zillow and look at all the really crazy expensive multi-million-dollar mansions,
Silly.
fantasizing about what they would do if they were to live in the craziest of homes.
Silly.
But the equivalent of that for me and my friends here is to look at normal homes that are just not in California.
Oh
look at that
my
one.
gosh.
3 bed, 2 bath for like
Wow, a normal-sized house for not $2 million? Incredible. What a dream. By the way, my friends, if you are watching this video and have not booped like on this video, I need to humbly ask that you do that, as well as subscribe to the channel if you have not. You want to know why? Because I live in LA, unfortunately, and this is the most expensive place in the world, and I need to feed my family. So if you could boop like on this video, boop the subscribe button, and also subscribe to Jaiden because she also lives in LA. She's a multi-millionaire, so she's probably okay, but you need to support the original creators. If you have done that, then we can carry on.
not in California. Oh, look at that one. 3 bed, 2 bath for like $2,500 a month. That's insane.
I've experienced
Here,
this
the
exact
thing
same
can go
thought.
Upwards of $7,000.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky and fortunate enough to not have to worry about finances as much. I
Yep.
can afford to live in a more expensive place here. It's not gonna break my bank. But at the same time, I'd like to still be relatively smart with money.
Yup.
Sure, I tend to splurge on plushies and trinkets. Haha, Jaiden's buying another Miku figure. But outside of that stuff,
Jaiden's doing
I'm
fine.
really not spending money on anything else. I'm not into luxury cars or
Good.
clothes or any of
Good.
that type of culture.
Good.
It's trinkets, plushes, and admittedly, a little too much DoorDash.
Jaiden and I are like the same person. I think honestly we're like the same person. I also am the same way. I don't like luxury items, designer clothes, whatever. And now let's start to get to the people. Let's start to get to the people. There are a lot of people out here who do really like luxury designer clothes and whatnot. And it's like, listen, if you have a crazy amount of money, like an unbelievable amount of money, then sure, whatever. Buy whatever you want. I'm not judging you for buying whatever you want. But if you are a person living in this expensive place just trying to get by and you're like, oh, I need this literal $1,000 t-shirt. Use a sucker. Absolute dingus behavior. Never in my entire life have I liked or respected a person more because they were wearing something from a designer store. Never in my entire life have I ever liked a person more because they were wearing something expensive. That is so stupid, but it is so, there are so many people like that out here. I have met people who like their entire goal in life is to get expensive clothes so that people can see them wearing expensive clothes and like them more. Dude, anyone who likes you more because you're wearing something expensive is not the kind of person you want to like you, okay? You don't want those people in your life. Those are the worst people because those are the people who will only value you for what you can give them. And when I kind of ventured into the LA content creator space, I met a lot of these people who are very LA content creator-y people. And I realized that these people only cared about me when I could give them something, when they could get something out of being friends with the successful RobertIDK. And then as soon as I'm like, oh, that's not what I want this to be, they're like, oh, screw you then, you know? Like, I had a quick crash course in being with very scummy LA people. And I'm never doing that again. Never doing that again. All right, there's my people tangent, okay? We might continue. I don't know if Jaiden's gonna come out and say it. She probably feels the same as me, considering what she just said about her spending habits, but we'll see if she goes there.
But I have a job that I can perform literally anywhere in the entire world. And I'm sitting here wasting extra costs on living in one of the most expensive cities in America. It feels bad. And I don't know if you picked up on it yet, but I don't even really like it here all that much. So
we're the same person.
Why? Why do I choose to burn extra money just to exist?
Because you think it's the right thing to do with your career.
The single reason is all of my friends are here, and I'd happily shovel extra funds into a giant furnace to be near them because that's what makes a place feel like a true home.
Yeah.
But all of my friends are also content creators that can work anywhere too, and if we all just banded together and decided to
agree to move to
somewhere
Delaware.
else, that would sure be swell. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of time, coordination, and resources to try and figure out an entirely new place to move a giant friend group of people. So we've essentially soft locked ourselves here until we can all agree it's time to get out of here. I'll give LA some credit. The main thing that makes it great is the fact that everything is always happening here. There is always some sort of fun event going on. Concerts, tours, random pop-ups. I went to a live screening of the season 2 finale of Severance where the cast got to talk about it afterwards, and that was one of the coolest experiences of my life so far. You name it, it is happening in California. Truly, you will never be bored here if you're always looking for something to do, and I recognize that is incredibly valuable.
Okay, valid. That is true. There is a lot of cool stuff to do here. That's the thing I think about LA is because there's so much to do. It can be tricky to like figure out where to look. And I think that's the experience that I've had. There's just so much going on that you need to figure out and choose like what you should do. Because I find it's like, I like being social in general. Like I like hanging out with people generally speaking. It doesn't need to be exactly the thing that I want to do, but being around people and being social is fun for me. I like talking, which is why I like doing this video and talking to y'all. I like expressing myself, right? So that's cool. But I think for me, a problem that I've had is finding the right crowds and the right groups of people and the right scenes, I guess would be the best word. Because like I said, there are obviously a lot of content creators in in LA who are good people. Obviously, I wouldn't have moved here if I, didn't think there was any good people here at all. But I'd say for every like super down-to-earth, kind content creator person here, there's like 10 people who want nothing more than to be famous. And they see people as resources and connections and like, oh, I know this person, so that makes me cooler. And you have to avoid those people like the plague, because they basically are the plague. Here we go. I'm going again.
But at the same time, it means there's always tourists visiting, and Los Angeles is a very disgusting city for tourists to visit. It smells like pee all the time. The tourist trap areas are so trashy. There's constant crowds everywhere you go. When it rains, the pee smells even worse. Every once in a while, I need to go into the city for some reason or another, and those are bad days. Also, if you want to see all these cool things, you don't have to live in California to begin with. In fact, living here only desensitizes me to all the awesome stuff constantly around. Back when I first moved, I was really close to Disneyland, and for the entire 2 years I spent over there, I only went to the alleged happiest place on earth a single time because of a friend's birthday. That's more of a personal experience, though. I know plenty of people who have yearly passes to Disney or Universal who go
I think those are probably some of the happier people in LA. The people who just buy into it and love it. I've been telling Lola for so long that I owe her a trip to Disneyland because she's so good to me and she deserves it, and we still haven't done it yet. So guys, leave a comment if I need to take Lola to Disneyland. She'll see it. If you leave a comment, and then she'll bug me about it so much that I have to do it. So yeah, guys, mention it in the comments so that I'm pressured to finally book this Disneyland date with Lola because she deserves it.
I know plenty of people who have yearly passes to Disney or Universal who go to them all the time. But for me, I always just think, I can go there anytime. So
let's never go at all.
And then later is multiple years. I consider it a privilege to be able to live in LA. It's expensive. A lot of people dream of coming here and making it big. And if you can afford it, you can definitely live luxuriously. But I am just really not built for all that. I grew up in a tiny desert town with like no people in it and prefer to be holed up in my house 90% of the time watching YouTube until my brain's mush.
Yeah, that's me too.
However, as much as I want to uproot everything again to live somewhere else less expensive and more compatible with my preferred lifestyle, I do think LA is a good place for me to be right now.
For you,
Both the YouTube and animation industry are here. I don't need to travel for most of the events I get invited to. And content creators are always visiting for something or another, so I get to meet a lot of fellow creator friends. I can't say anywhere else in the world can offer all these benefits that specifically apply to me right now.
Exactly. And obviously that's why I'm here as well, because I was doing YouTube in Canada and I didn't have any YouTube friends in Canada near me. So I felt very, very lonely where I was. And so coming here was so that I could work around other people. For those of you guys who don't know, from 2019 to 2021, something like that, I worked full-time in an office editing videos for another channel called Dope or No. And that was an office with like 30 people who were all working on YouTube. And that's the only time where it's like, oh, I get to just always be around people working on YouTube videos. Awesome. And so I moved to LA for that reason, but now I just do my videos. And so yeah, I'm kind of in that situation where I do not need to be here. But like Jaiden said, a lot of people come here to visit, and since they aren't from LA, there's a higher likelihood of them being good people. So it is good when homies visit, you know? And something else, YT moved here recently, so Adam, we should hang out. That would be cool and fun.
I might not exactly like it, but LA is my home for at least the next few years, and I do get to have a lot of fun here with my friends. It's a toxic relationship, I suppose, but I'm sure in a decade when I'm somewhere else and reminiscing on the past, I'll have very fond memories of it all. So I can complain all I want while I'm here, but deep down, I know California has been such a huge part of the most defining years of my life. And I'll hold a very special place for it in my heart for a long time.
Aww.
LAX and the drivers are just excluded from it, though.
Oh, yeah,
I'll hate those
no.
parts forever.
So me and Jaiden, honestly, I feel like we think so similar for this. We have pretty much all of the same opinions when it comes to this, at least. But yeah, I think it's very important to live life knowing that at some point in the future, if your life is tough right now, or you don't love where you live, where you go to school, where you work, whatever, in the future, you probably will think back to it and have some fond memories and be like, oh, that was a nice time. I wish I appreciated it more. So try to appreciate it now, you know? Try to think about that and be like, oh, this is a special time in my life. You know what I mean? But LAX is excluded from that. LAX and the drivers don't count. I will go the rest of my life without ever missing LA drivers and LAX. I will never miss that in my life, okay? But yes, aside from that, we have pretty much the exact same opinions on everything. And if you had fun with this video and you want to keep hanging out with me, here's the full playlist of times I looked at Jaiden Animations. These are super fun videos, and if you're not caught up on the whole series, click on the playlist and see what videos you're missing. Here's another video of mine that YouTube thinks you will like. It's an algorithm-based thing, so I'll see you in a Jaiden video, or I'll see you in this video. Peace out, my friends.
Peace, Uncle Bo.